Okay, hey guys. Today I got another deck profile for you, and today it's going to be the Fiend Smith version of the White Forest Azamina deck. Um, Honestly, I'm not as big of a fan of this version as the toy box version, but I feel like just into the meta, like the Fiend Smith cards are just so good. Um, I'm sure like a lot of people, you're probably sick of seeing them in a ton of different decks. This is the first deck I've ever used them in, and yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna use them in any others, but at the very least, this is a very I think it's a deck. It works, you know. It's not my favorite version, but I wanted to bring the deck profile because I think it's a good version of the deck, and I think it's a strong deck, and I want to show what I run. And you know, there are some differences from what other people play, and I'll talk about that for sure. And the first difference is the Stellar. So a lot of people in the Fiend Smith version don't play 3, but I do because I feel like even like especially when I'm looking at replays from other people who play this deck, and playing the Fiend Smith version specifically, they're like always on like 1, and some of them are even on none, which I think is definitely wrong. But it's just there's so many times where you open hands that just like don't have plays, like you just can't play the game. Like you might have what would you see? You might have I don't know, engraver. I couldn't think of the word. An engraver, and like a couple hand traps, maybe like a hollowed Azamina, you know, like a brick or something. Like there's so many times where you'll have weird hands like that, and with just 3 LZ and 3 Sylvia, it's like those are your only real starters. Like I'm not a big fan of that. These are technically going to be your extra normal summons. So you're gonna have 6 normal summons, but yeah, I think it's just I don't know. I just like having like more cards to play with. You know, I think cutting it down to maybe 2 is okay. 1 is like, I mean, I can see it, I do get it, but just personally, I like having 3, and also I have 3 QCRs, which is a totally valid reason to play 3. And yeah, so 3 LZ, this is the best one. You obviously are going to play 3 of this in every single version of the deck. And then I am playing 2 of the Azamina LZ, or LZ Azamina of the White Forest. Honestly, this card can be run at 1, I think. I see pretty much every list online play at 2, but if you think about it, it's not really a starter, and it's an extender that needs another card, like it needs a tuner. Yeah, it's a very good card. It's like a very, very good card, but just whether you play it at 1 or 2, you could, I can definitely see like a list where you run 3 of it, but you'd like need to change up like the way you build the deck a bunch. It'd be like a very different way of building the deck compared to what you normally see. And then in this version, this is the best normal summon in Sylvie. Not in the toy box version. The toy box version of Stellar is by far the better card, but in this version, it's a solid card to get your play started. And then the 1 Rusia, because ooh, that's hella glare. Because yeah, it's an extender, but it's a really good one. So yeah, that's the White Forests. I do like playing a lot of like White Forest names. I don't know. I might change it up. I'm playing 2 Tails. I think this is good in the Fiend Smith version because I want more spells and traps to send with my effects, and the White Forest cards are obviously the best to send because you get to put them right back. And even if you want, you can send them again, and you can add them back with Diabel. So they have the most utility if you're not running toy box cards. So I'm playing 2. I think if I'm playing 2, I might bump the Stellar down to 2, or 1 against my will. But I think in this version, 2 Tails is definitely decent. I'm still playing 1 Scourge. I think this card is like hugely slept on. It's a really good card, and has gotten me out of so many spots where my opponent's like, okay, now I'll just talents, take something, or, you know, do something that's really an issue for me, and I can just stop it. It's just like a insanely good card, and I see some white forest lists cutting it. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. It's really good. And then one Sinful Spoils of the White Forest. This is really good because it's both a Sinful Spoil card and a White Forest card. So oftentimes I find myself searching redundant cards with, with my Elza Azamina of the White Forest, or my Azamina Fusion Searcher. It's really good, and I'm also now playing Guardian Chimera, and it's actually very easy to make it with this deck. And yeah, so I think it's just a decent card to run, and it's just another card that you get extra value off of sending for cost. And then one Woe's the best interruption in the deck, in my opinion, because one of the cool things you can do is on your opponent's turn, you do some plays, right? And you'll have like your regular Elzette in the graveyard, and you'll end with like one of your level 4 tuners on the field or in the grave, and then you'll activate this, and if you need to, you'll use the quick effect of one of your tuners in grave to get it on field. And then you'll summon the new Azamina Elzette and synchro summon into like your Silvera. And that's really good because you'll get Chainlink 1 the Silvera to Book of Eclipse all your opponent's monsters. Then you'll get the regular Elzette, or actually no, you probably go Azamina Elzette as Chainlink 2 to search for like a wanted for follow-up for next turn, and you get the regular Elzette to add back to hand. So you get even more advantage now from using Woes. So it's also just the Book of Eclipse it's just so strong. And unlike regular Book of Eclipse, you can't Ash. Okay, well, actually, no, technically you can't Ash it. Yeah, I take that back. You can't Book of Eclipse the effect. If you summon Silvera by Woes, you can Ash it, but if you summon it any other way, you can't Ash the actual booking effect. Onto the Sinful Spoils stuff, we have one Black Witch. I'm still running 3 Wanted just because it's just a really good engine. It gets us our Omni Negate out early. It's a really good card, and yeah, it gets us a draw as well, which is really nice. Then one Hollow Azamina, and then one Deception. Yeah, just a small package, but a good one. It's really, really strong, and it's nice to be able to play this in a way that's not like, you know, Snake Eyes comboing like we've been used to for ages now. For the Fiend Smith stuff, it's not that big of a package. Just 2 Engraver, 1 Lacrima, playing 1 Fabled Lurie, and then the 1 Tract. I'm playing the Fabled Lurie because it makes the Engraver itself like a really good combo piece. The Engraver already just kind of acts as a spell because you can discard it to get Tracked. You can either activate Tracked to add and discard the Lurie for comboing, or you can use it as a spell trap if you need it to use as your for your White Forest effects. So yeah, I think, you know, the Fiend Smith stuff, it's a really strong engine, and that's why people play in a lot of different things. Now, this is the only kind of part of the deck that is like super awkward, in my opinion, to make work. I've seen so many different, you know, lists doing so many different things. For hand traps, I'm playing 3 Imperm, 3 Fulos, 3 Veiler, and 3, I'll put this over here, and 3 Ash. These cards are all just really strong. The issue is, like, you really need a hand trap mixed with a Nibiru or just a lot of hand traps right now. And this deck can't really justify playing, like, more than 12, 13, maybe 14. If I drop to a Stellar, then I could play, like, 2 Talents or 2 more hand traps. But if I'm playing more hand traps, that's also less spells and traps for me to use. You know, it's really tough. This is like, I think the hardest part of the deck to work with, and I'm still changing this. I'm not entirely happy with this, but I think this works. It's solid. Is it the best lineup? I don't know. There's a lot of different ways that you can play this deck. I'm not really comfortable with all board breakers right now, because I think there are some decks like the Mitsurugi Raizio deck that it just gets too much advantage if you just let them play, and then they can set up their full board. They have like an Omni Negate, they have cards that make you discard an extra card, they have the Detonator stuff, and then the Raizio Cross. Like, it's a really difficult deck to get through if you just let them play and do all their stuff however they want. And same goes for Fiend Smith Raizio. I mean, regular Raizio, not as much, but yeah, it's a really tough, I think, meta to know exactly what non-engine to play. It's not like back in cash format where it's like, oh, you just play a bunch of books in your deck and you're kind of good to go. Onto the extra deck, 1 Diabell, 1 Arciela. I managed to find myself a Euro QCR, which I'm really happy with. Maybe I can find Euro QCRs of the rest, and then 1 Silvera. Amazing cards, solid cards. Then the last synchro is 1 Chaos Angel, because it's still a really good card, and the Fiend Smith stuff can go into this really easily, so it's a really good card. On to the Azamina fusions. We have Mu Arcielago, which is your Searcher, still a really good card. Your Ilia Sylvia, and your Magistus Chirozzo. This is a really good card because in certain hands you can actually just turn a Mu Arcielago, or anything really, but mainly your Mu Arcielago and like a Diabell Star into this, which is your level 4 tuner. So it helps you play in weird spots. So it's just a nice option to have. Doesn't come up every game, but is definitely a nice new option coming out of Supreme Darkness. And then Guardian Chimera, because this card is like, it's busted just in general, but the fact that we can have a reliable way of making it now, especially it's a half decent thing to end on, even when you get interrupted a bunch, so it's not bad. Then on to some links. We have 1 SP Little Knight, and then 1 of the new Abawaki, I think that's how you say it, the Lightless Shadow. It's a really good card. It's a bit of a niche card. It's not going to be in every meta deck, but it will be pretty much in every Fiend Smith deck that can find a spot for it. Really good card. There's some ways where you can end up, if you just barely have enough to make with your sequence play into the Desiree, you can sometimes just link up into this. If you just have one more body, and then you can use this effect to reborn the Desiree, and then use the sequence engrave to equip, and then you get this back at end phase. So it can help you get a little more value out of slightly less bodies on occasion. Then for the Fiend Smith stuff, we just have the 1 Requiem. I should put the Moon of the Closed Heaven first. 1 Moon as normal, 1 Requiem. This is sequence. I can't find it to save my life. I opened so much of that, the set that sequence came in, Infinite Forbidden. I think it's actually the playmat that I have, but I just can't find it, and so I'm gonna be getting it off of one of my friends soon. But so this is Fiend Smith sequence, just a filler. But if you want, IP is also not a half bad option in this deck. So and then the 1 Desiree to round off the Fiend Smith stuff. And then I'm also playing the 1 Abyss Dweller. It's not as easy to make in this version compared to the toy box version, which can just make this for fun so easily, but still a good card, really good card into the meta, and yeah, very shiny. So yeah, I'm not going to show the side deck because the side deck's still, I think, a work in progress, and because of the new Blue Eyes cards that are coming out soon, I think people's side decks are going to change just a little bit. You know, still things like the you know, Lancias are still going to be part of everyone's side deck. You're still going to see cards like, I think in this deck, Droplets, good, Talents, Thrusts, those are still going to be really good. Bastiles in this deck are really good. But yeah, so that's a little template to look at. I think if I were to change anything, it would probably be taking out a stellar, maybe two, to go along with everyone else, but and then putting in Talents or something like that. But yeah, this is a really strong deck, and I love White Forest. If you've seen other videos on my channel, you'd know that. So yeah, if you enjoyed, definitely, you know, leave a comment and let me know. And if you have any deck choices or decisions that you make with this deck that you want to let me know about, feel free to let me know. I always love talking about not just this deck, but Yu-Gi-Oh! In general. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.